We can bring our own Barrens in to block it. Yup. Sorry, bro. Both Barrens have been dealt with now. 2 out of 4 Ugins have been dealt with. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks again for taking the time out of your day to watch Hello Good Game. Today, we are continuing our rampage through Mythic. We have reached rank 186. We are clawing our way up. Today we are playing with Dimir Control in best of 3, which is a lot of fun, also known as traditional. So we'll be looking at our main board, breaking it down, and then transferring and breaking down our sideboard, talking about some of the uses of the cards in the sideboard, which decks you will want to bring these cards in against, and which cards you may want to take out of your main board for those substitutions. So breaking it down as in-depth as we possibly can for you guys. Let's get into it. Of course, if you do find any value within this video, drop a thumbs up. It's a great way to help support the channel's growth. And of course, subscribe for future content. Don't forget about our 500,000 gem giveaway. We also have free cash prize monthly tournaments. Getting into what I call the nightmare noodles. Yorion the Sky Nomad, I think, is maybe one of the most powerful creatures that we have access to right now. So I think that you could build any deck around it and be quite successful. You don't have to bounce every single permanent. You could bounce 2 omens, and that's still probably enough value to win you the game, which is crazy. So there's a lot of things that we can do with Yorion. And then, of course, we are using it as the commander. So that states that we need to use an additional 20 cards in our deck. So this is an 80-card deck. Very, very aggressive. If we pull up our stats here first, a 2.7 average converted mana cost. This is actually relatively cheap for a control deck, but we do have to realize, we do have 34 lands in the deck to help bring that value down, and a lot of quick and easy 2-drops, as you'll see here as well. 0 creatures. We have, very few win conditions in the deck, and a whopping 46 non-creatures. So a nice showing there of what a decent control deck is looking like right now. A lot of the times, control decks may have their mana curves skewed. As we do see here, it's quite light within that 2-drop, and then drops back down if you would, curve that out. Many control decks have a skewed curve that pushes into the later game, where there are lots of 5-drops or 6-drops and 7-drops, right? This isn't the case. Of course, we do have the sideboard, which can beef things up a little bit. You'll see we've got, those 5-drops, 6-drops, and even the 8-drop in there as well, Big Daddy Ugin. So, we are trying to play the first game really quick as far as our general strategy goes. We don't want to get caught in an aggro match and be unaware of it. So we always want to be prepared for the worst case scenario, right? That being a really quick aggro match that's on the play. You're going to have enough tools in your main board to deal with that. And then if it happens not to be that, right, it's a mid-range matchup, it's a control matchup, now we can kind of adjust in our sideboard in game 2 and game 3, which is really nice. So, that's our main strategy here with the mana curve. And, once we do determine that we're not playing against an aggro deck, we can kind of switch things up in the sideboard and play that more aggressive long game. With that out of the way, don't forget to like the video if you find any value, subscribe to the channel for even more content. Let's break down the deck list. We'll do the strategies, the synergies, and then we'll get into the sideboard. There's a lot to do here today. You guys know Yorion the Sky Nomad. I'm still going to go through everything for anyone who's brand new to Magic, right? I do like to have all of my videos cater to someone who's never seen a Magic video. They're like, what's this game? I explain it in depth, and now they love the game. We've got a brand new lifelong friend. Anywho, Yorion Sky Nomad 5/4. I mentioned the deck building rule, so we do use it as the companion, which states that we do have to use those 20 extra cards. Each companion in the game has a different deck building rule, which is pretty cool, right? Especially as someone who builds decks for a living. When it enters the battlefield, exile any number of non-land permanents you own and control. Return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of your next end step. We can stack non-land permanents in play. Eventually Yorion becomes available because we do have to pay 3 mana to bring it from our sideboard or from exile to our hand as the companion. That is the new adjusted rule. And, you know, at this point, it's going to be late game. We might not have a full hand anymore. We play it. Not only do we get a body in play, our only win condition as far as a creature who attacks goes, but we also get to rebounce all of those other permanents that previously gave us value. Permanents we're looking to bounce in the deck are Omen of the Sea. We have 4 copies of this and enchantment for 2 with Flash. When Omen of the Sea enters the battlefield, scry 2, then draw a card. We can also pay 3 to sacrifice Omen of the Sea to draw for an additional, or scry for an additional 2. Sorry. We don't want to do that if we're using Yorion. That's only a worst case scenario if you absolutely have to find removal or you don't have a Yorion anymore. The great thing here is scry 2, draw a card. Great value. There's 4 copies of this. You can put them in play. You can bounce them with Yorion later for additional scries and additional draw. Very, very, very good. We also have our Maze Mine Tome, which is pretty cool. So this gets sacrificed when there are 4 lore counters on it. We also gain 4 life when it is sacrificed. So you may want to let it be sacrificed if you need sustainability through life gain. Otherwise, you want to bounce it with Yorion when it gets 3 lore counters, right? Then you reset it back to 0 and you can use it a bunch more, gaining even more value from it. Of course, we can tap it to scry 1, adding a lore counter. We can also pay 2, tap it, add a lore counter, and draw a card. So great things available to us within the Maze Mine Tome. And I really like both of the Tome and Omen of the Sea because the Sea comes in with Flash on your end step. The Tome, you sink your mana in on your opponent's end step as well. Both your opponent's end step, I should clarify. And we're doing this because we hold up counter magic within this deck, right? This is a hard control deck. We're looking to hold up a lot of counter magic to stop our opponent. And then if they don't have anything that we need to stop, then we can drain our available mana into the Tome, into the Omens, and not really have been left with doing nothing that turn, right? So you always really want to utilize your mana 100% of the time. That's really all we're bouncing. You could bounce an Ashiok. You do a -3 and then bounce it, bring it back to 5. But that's not nearly as important or as reliable or consistent as the Omen of the Sea and the Maze Mine Tome. We are talking a little bit about spending our mana on our opponent's end step if we didn't need to counter them on their turn. Something else that we can do that's really nice is Cling to Dust. An instant speed for 1, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, you gain 3 life. Otherwise, draw a card. We can escape it from our graveyard, which means the ability to replay it by paying 4 and exiling 5 other cards from our graveyard. So, you know, our opponent doesn't do anything. We've got open mana. We can, you know, exile cards from our graveyard, replay this over and over and over again, which is really, really cool, as long as we do have enough cards in our graveyard to keep it going. But, you know, not only that is really good, but you can also deal with things from your opponent's graveyard, right? If there's a Kroxa, if they have anything of their own with Escape, right? If, you know, they've got an Elspeth Conquers Death and they're looking to bring back a Planeswalker or a Dream Trawler or something, you can really take control of the game and your opponent's and your own graveyard as well. So, you know, whether you need the life gain, whether you need the draw, or whether you need to control the graveyards, Cling to Dust does it all at instant speed, and it's replayable, which is really, really amazing. So we talked about the drawing when we're not countering. We do have a little bit more of that incorporated in the deck within Reign of Revelation. For 4 at instant speed, draw 3 cards, then discard a card. This is really good because it draws so many cards. The discard is not necessarily a problem because when we have 4 mana, typically we're only really looking for answers at this point anyways. We don't need to ramp very high. You'll see how low the average converted mana cost was. So we're just kind of straying ourselves into the next counter spell, right? And then, you know, ideally we didn't have to counter a spell. We get to cast this. We bring more counter spells into our hand, and now our opponent is an even worse situation. So we're really just boxing them out with counter magic, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about our counter magic for a second. We've got 3 copies of Essence Scatter for 2 at instant speed to counter target creature spell. You know, counter the creatures, right? Easy peasy. We've got 3 copies of Negate at instant speed to counter non-creature spell. Counter the non-creature spells. Easy peasy. You may want to prioritize this based on what your opponent is playing, and we'll touch on that within the strategies and synergies. The first objective is to determine what deck you're playing against. So, you know, the Negate is great, counters the Henge, counters Embercleave, you know, can counter Ugin. The list goes on, my friend. So the Negate is a nice counter spell. We also have Jwari's Disruption and Jwari Ruins. The Ruins comes in taps, adds a blue to our pool, and at instant speed, the Disruption can counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. A lot of people don't like this, but I think that they forget that it has a land on the backside, which is amazing. There's nothing worse than missing a land drop as a control deck. You cannot afford to do that. So this is nice for that reason, and it's really nice because when your opponent is, trying to go crazy and kill you, typically they do spend all of their mana. So if they're an aggro deck, you'll probably still get to counter their last spell. If they are a ramp deck, no one ramps to 8 before they play their ultimatum for 7, right? The disruption is not that big in the meta. They get to 7, they play their ultimatum. They get to 8, they play their Teferi. So this is nice for hitting up multiple spells that get cast and you get the last one, or you just get a really big spell when it gets cast, which is quite nice. And it doesn't matter whether it's creature, non-creature, enchantment, the whole 9 yards, the disruption can get it. It's just based on whether our opponent can pay 1 mana or not. We've got 4 copies of Negate at instant speed for 3, cycling for 2, which is quite nice. So if you don't need to counter anything, which is, it's going to be rare probably, you can cycle it, right? You can find something else. Maybe you need removal instead. Maybe your opponent's creatures already got in play because you didn't have counter magic or removal at the time and you're just digging for some removal. So the cycling can actually kind of help you if you fall behind, which is nice. So you can toss the counter away and, look for some removal, which is quite nice. And again, counter target spell regardless of what it is. And, talking about the removal now, we've got the Extinction Event. Now, this is the best piece of removal. Sorcery speed for 4, choose odd or even, exile creatures with the chosen converted mana cost. That's amazing. That just stops so many aggro decks in their tracks. Even if you have to cast it twice, take 1 odd, take 1 even. What I like to do is, because we have other removal in the deck, I like to try to prioritize either odd or even based on their deck and the current situation, and then get everything else with the event. So I might use my single target removal on everything even, and I might take odds with the event, right? Or vice versa, based on, what that initial situation or interaction looks like to keep myself alive. So speaking of other removal, we've got the Hagra Mauling. This is also a land that comes in tapped. A removal spell for 4 to destroy target creature, 1 less to cast if our opponent controls no basic lands, which you'll be surprised how often that happens and how often it will continue to happen as these new pathways get released within Kaldheim. We also have 4 copies of Heartless Act at instant speed, choose 1, destroy target creature with no counters, remove up to 3 counters from target creature. 4 copies of Eliminate at instant speed, destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 3 or less. And of course, 2 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst for 1, destroy target planeswalker or creature with converted mana cost 2 or less. If it was kicked for an additional 3 mana, destroy that creature or planeswalker regardless on its converted mana cost, which is pretty cool. So that's the removal. We talked about everything else other than the one and only Ashiok Nightmare Muse. This is the icing on the cake and one of our win conditions here. The Planeswalker is of 5 loyalty when it enters, +1 to create a 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. -3, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their hand. I really like the plus ability to stop blockers and, get that win condition through attackers in. It also builds us to our minus ability. -7, of course, and then I really like the -3 ability because you can use it on, something that has lethal on you potentially, or you could use it on a token. The token cannot exist in your opponent's hand, so it gets destroyed, and they still have to exile something from their hand, which is really, really nice. And of course, the -7 that I aforementioned, you may cast up to 3 spells from among face-up cards your opponents own in exile without paying their mana cost. The face-up here is really nice because the face-down within Kaldheim cards for the Foretell is a cool dodge, so I like how that was worded. It was kind of awkward before, but now, as we come full circle, it's really, really nice. So 4 copies of Ashiok, of course, and, the land is kind of awkward always in a control deck. A single Castle Vantress, we can pay 5 to scry 2. That's really good, if you're not using your mana and you don't have any draw capabilities on your opponent's end step, then, at least you can scry and set up your next draw phase. Really nice, which is cool. 8 mountains. Geez, couldn't be further from the truth. 8 islands. It's a it's a form of mountain. It's like a oceanic volcanic mountain. 1 Castle Locthwain, similar to the Castle Vantress. We can pay 4 here, drawing a card and then losing life equal to the total number of cards in our hand after the draw. 3 copies of our Swamps Belovedly. 4 Clearwater and Murkwater Pathways, 4 Temple of Deceits in tapped, scry 1, 4 Triumphs in tapped, all 3 colors, but we can cycle, which is quite nice. So whether we're using it as a Dimir land early on to fix our mana, or we pull it late game and just cycle it for removal, that's going to work for us really well. Also, 4 Crawling Barrens. This is the star of Zendikar Rising as far as I'm concerned. We can tap it to add a colorless. We can pay 4 to put 2 +1/+1 counters on the Barrens. Then we may choose to have it become a 0/0 elemental creature until the end of turn, which is great. So, you know, you can do some bashing, and this is actually our primary win condition in the deck. We control, we control, we control, we get value, we get value, we get value, and then we use Crawling Barrens once our opponent is out of everything to finally seal the deal, which is pretty cool. 4 Fabled Passages to help us thin our library, and a Field of Ruin to stop any shenanigans that we may need to encountering with the land. So whether it be killing our opponent's castles, you know, maybe they've got a dual land or a triome that they're really relying on for their mana pool. The Field of Ruin is just a nice way to deal with that. You know, also dealing with other Crawling Barrens, right? Remember that also. Anyway, so that's the main board. Let's break down, you know, some general strategies and synergies before we talk about our sideboard here as well. Make the game last as long as possible, right? Prolong it until turn 7+, and then you'll really start feeling in control. You know, a lot of people don't like control decks because those first few turns are so scary, and you do have to stabilize, and if you can't, then you're just in trouble. So the main deck I hear mentioned is kind of skewed towards the aggro matchups, like it would be for a best of 1 build. And I still like to do this in my best of 3 decks because it could still be an aggro match. And then even if it's not, now you have the ability to adjust because a control deck gives you more turns. It's not killing you on turn 3. It's not killing you on like turn 4 or turn 5, right? So if it isn't an aggro deck, then you still have more turns to sort through your cards with the draws, with the scries, to find the appropriate answers, right? Whereas if it is an aggro deck, you don't really get, you know, that leeway or that time to like look for those answers. It's like you need answers right now. So the main board provides us those answers really effectively, really efficiently, and consistently, which is nice. And like I also previously mentioned, our first goal is to determine what deck we're playing against, right? So you look at their land drop, you look at their first card or 2 played, determine what deck in the meta they're playing, and now you can prioritize all of your spells within your head before you're playing them, right? You now know if you need Essence Scatters at all, right? Maybe they're a control deck with no creatures, and you may not need them, right? Maybe they don't have a single non-creature to counter. Maybe it's just a full-out aggro creature-based deck, and you don't need your negates, right? So there are certain aspects that are pretty cool within being able to determine what deck your opponent is playing, then prioritize your removal and start preemptively searching for it, right? Or your disruption, whether it is the negate or an eliminate, something, right? And then you're kind of ahead of the game, which is quite nice, and then your opponent plays stuff, you're already ready for it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So, you know, that's basically your main strategy with any control deck, and especially within this one. So let's break down the sideboard now. We've got an additional Cling to Dust, right? If there is any reason that we need to hate on the graveyard more than we are, the Cling to Dust is great. Also, you know, maybe a little bit more life gain is helpful here as well. An additional negate, right? Where's it a control deck where there, you know, Embercleaves and Henges that we absolutely needed to get rid of? Any non-creature spells, you know, there's a little bit more protection from that. Was it a rogue deck or, you know, another control deck that really focuses around blue? The Mystical Dispute is amazing. I absolutely love it. You know, if you're on the play, you can counter a crab, for example, which is sick, but you can also just kill the crab with your Bloodchief's Thirst. But in general, it just stops so much of what could annoy you if your opponent is playing blue, and, you know, just taking that with a grain of salt. We'll talk about what you might want to switch and, you know, sideboarding strategies after we go through the cards. 2 copies of Shadow Verdict for 5 at sorcery speed. Exile all creatures and planeswalkers with converted mana costs with 3 or less from the battlefield, and all creatures and planeswalker cards with converted mana costs 3 or less from all graveyards. This is really, really good against rogues as well. It's going to wipe their field. It's going to empty the graveyard, and they're going to have a hard time really coming online after that because their Luris is now useless, etc., etc., etc. Also, just good against general aggro decks as well if you need to find that additional wipe beside Extinction Event. 4 copies of our Shark Typhoon, an enchantment for 6. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost, cycling for 2+X, and whenever you cycle Shark Typhoon, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, which is really, really cool. Again, we're going to talk about this strategy and when we want to be sideboarding these cards in a second here. 2 copies of Lockmere Serpent, a 7/7 with flash. We can pay 1 to sacrifice an island. It can't be blocked this turn. We can pay a swamp and sacrifice a swamp. to gain 1 life and draw a card, and we can, you know, pay 1 of each to exile 5 cards from an opponent's graveyard. Return the Serpent from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. This is really good if our opponent is playing Rakdos. I know I said I was going to talk about this later, but the exiling of the graveyard is really, really good because, you know, if they're going to try to escape a Kroxa in play, you can, you know, just empty their graveyard. You got rid of all of their escape cards, which is really, really cool. And then finally, Ugin the Spirit Dragon, 7 loyalty, +2, 3 damage to any target, -X, exiling each permanent with converted mana costs of X or less. That's 1 or more colors. -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand into the battlefield, which is fine just for the draw. With that all being said, Ugin's great, but it's really easy to stop, right? Negate stops Ugin in a hurry. So we are relying on other forms of control other than Ugin. I know Ugin is great, it's control, and it's its own win condition, which you still may want to use it. So let's break down, you know, these sideboard plays really quick. The first question I ask myself when I am going into the sideboard situation is, what kind of deck did I play, right? Was it an aggro deck? Was it a mid-range deck? Was it a control deck? Was it a tempo deck, right? So on and so forth. Was it a combo deck? What kind of archetype was I playing against? At this point, you can now ask yourself, what cards in my deck performed very well, right? This is the question we ask ourselves to determine what cards our opponent is going to try to counter, right? What cards they're trying to shut down. Then we can ask ourselves, what cards in my deck performed very poorly? These are the cards we want to take out of our main board. Then we ask ourselves the same questions for our opponent, right? What cards did they have that performed very well? Do we have anything in our sideboard that can counter that, right? That goes into our main board now. What did our opponent have that performed very poorly? Right? We now know that this probably won't see play. They're probably going to sideboard it out. We won't have to deal with it now. So these are the 4 questions that I ask myself. And then, you know, once we do that, we make our sideboard decisions. And by asking yourself these questions, they should reveal the answers as to what cards you need to sideboard for which specific match. Now, I've developed these rules over the last 2 years to help not only myself, but other beginners learn to play best of 3 and get the most out of traditional standard, while not only making, you know, semi-secure choices, but learning along the way rather than just doing as they're told, and really developing those principles. So, you know, I hope you guys can use those along your journey in traditional. I hope you enjoyed the deck tech, learned a little bit about my general strategies with this deck. And, you know, again, we're playing it in the top 200 today, crushing it. So again, thanks for your guys' support. It means so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel to your friends. Today, we are playing with Magic the Gathering Arena Assistant, as we are every day. That's available to everybody on Windows for free in the link below the video. Get in on it. It's got a lot of goodies that you do not want to miss out on. One of the coolest things, you guys, is the Deck Advisor. It will scan your collection and scan the decks and let you know what decks you can play. But all of that is in another video if you want to know how that looks up. Just search up Deck Tracker on my channel and you'll figure it out. Today is like video 850, so we're really excited. Maybe I was thinking we get ranked number 1 for 1,000. But I don't know if that's sustainable, right? I don't know if I can do it. I feel like the top 200 is just some mysterious zone. Again, thank you guys. I really appreciate all of your support. Enjoy the gameplay footage, and we'll be back to wrap up in a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're playing best of 3, Dimir Sky Noodle, aka a yacht named Yorion, going first against representation via Brazil. I actually have a lot of Brazilian viewers. You guys are blowing up my analytics. So, big shout out to Latin American? Woof. You guys should, just we as a whole, right? The Americas. Just so much tied up in that. We should get rid of it. Right? Let's just toss it. North America, South America. All left in the past. What are they playing? They've mulliganed. You know, we've got removal, so I don't know if we need this, but it certainly would not be that worst. This can be neutralized ready. Yeah, let's just get it in there. There's nothing wrong with having too much land. Anyways, mono red aggro. Not scary, mon! Let's make them think we're rogues so they won't attack with a haste creature. Right? Oh no. The plot thickens. Is this red artifact ramp, you know, into the Ugin? We need... Planeswalker removal. That one neutralize is going to save us for a second, but we're going to need to make a move with it. That Tome really sucks. It's a good card. Great card. Maze Mind Tome. You can tap it to scry 1. You can also pay 2 and tap it to draw a card. Only doing it 4 times, though, total. Between both of them. At which point it sacrifices and you gain 4 life. 4 cards in hand, 3 mana in play. That is a Bone Daddy. That can enter. And I'm just gonna scoop that up. Taking 2 damage, but it's better than 4. Right? They could have stomped us and done 2 as well, so no harm, no foul as far as I'm concerned. I want this Locthwain active. Maybe we should have Passage to thin our library. Not next turn, though, because I want the Locthwain. So we're either countering or using Castle. Gaining 2 life. It's definitely an Iron Crag feat. Oh, man, that is so annoying. We can't counter it, though. I also don't want to be paying that much life, to be honest. Let's thin it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So not yet. Next turn we can bring Yorion into our hand. This is best of 3 as well, so you know we do have a couple more games potentially. Ba 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 ba. Taking the draws. You know, I'm not a fan of that. I want a Tome. We need to even this out. I mean, it should be an easy win. We've got lots of counters. Taking an island here, thinning our library. Our turn. I still don't want to be paying life, really. That's a lot, but it will come in handy soon. Let's pop the noodle over. Pass our turn. We'll have to grab another island. I hate that. They're doing really good at keeping ahead of us within value. Right? 2 tomes, and they just tossed a full hand. Or, you know, half of their hand. Woof. Woof. Taking an island here. I'm not sure what they could cast on the stack that causes us any harm. Yup. It could be an Iron Crag feat, right? Next turn we can. This is a disgusting match. Woof. Not impressed. We're gonna run out of time. That's how it feels. Crawling Barrens is really gross too. Nice. So it is the Ironcrag feat like we kind of thought of. We remove counters from this. Does it die? Or does it go back to being a land? I think it should die, shouldn't it? He should not have brought that out. I think it should die. It shouldn't go back to land. Yeah, definitely dies. Perfect. 1, 2... No, we don't need to pay life yet. We still have Neutralize up to protect Ashiok. We can make chump blockers.
Racing mind, surrender them to.
And we hold up Counterspell, and we hold up Draw, and we have removal if the Counterspell's not warranted. So prioritizing our removal, you know how I always am always mentioning that. So this can go through. Not much we're doing about that. These Crawling Barrens are the most annoying thing. Well, it certainly doesn't feel good, Hugh. Ouch. We got hit for a bunch there, down to 1. You dirty dog. We gotta let him have it.
Never forget my voice.
Omen in play. Clink to Dust we can cast right now. This is in exile, so we can't get to it, which is really sad. We want to draw a card, so if it was a creature card, draw a card. Oh no, if it was a creature card, gain 3 life, otherwise draw a card. So let's take the feat, I guess, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just looking for a draw. Ooh, speak of the devil. One of my favorite cards. I still say, even though we have the event, we play Yorion. Keep pushing forward with this Neutralize to protect us. Bounce the single Omen, which is still value. It's not 2 tomes worth of value, but it is there. I don't think we really need to land. It can go to the bottom. We'll draw more land with the draw. Oh, another Crawling Barrens. Such a good card. Don't you dare. This is their whole turn. That's so annoying. Just take the draw. Much more responsible. Disruption can go. Tome in play is really nice for us. Alright. Pass our turn. Still scared of Ugins, but we've got, you know, some protection from it. This enters play, sure. Wonder if they learned their lessons about Crawling Barrens last time or not. Two damage. That's fine. All 4 damage we've taken this game is from targeting the Bone Crusher Giant so far. You gotta love a control-on-control matchup. The Cling to Dust should help support the Crawling Barrens eventually. But we can only cast it so many times. It's our opponent's turn. Their end step. We still get to draw off our Tome. Yep. I will Cling to Dust for another draw as well. I think they're kind of getting fed up with how long this is taking. Which is fine. That's what a control deck does. Just prolong everything. Oh, and negate. Oh, no. Let's take another draw. Heartless Act. That's okay. Our turn. They've got their own Crawling Barrens, which is super annoying. Let's just pass our turn. Send them a heart, because we are in full control mode. What win con, right? It's the Crawling Barrens. It's Ashiok. That's all we've got. So, we got to be really careful, play really slow, play really smart. We're dealing with the creature there as well, which is kind of nice. While still holding the counterspell for Ugin. Right. That should be enough for the win, but we'll see. Take our draw. We do need counter spells though pretty quickly here again. Maybe that is a mistake. No, it wasn't. We pull another. I was gonna say there's so much counter magic that we still have. We should be safe. Let's take a scry. Land can go. That's our turn, baby. Oh my god. Can you imagine? 9 mana available. Full hand. Passes their turn. Stop it. That's number 2. That's the second Ugin. We're gonna Cling to Dust it again. Just looking for more counters always, right? Trying to just stay in full control. We can Crawling Barrens bash on the very last turn, right?
I did all I did.
Oh my god.
Appropriate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. So we actually don't want to draw here. Let's just go to our turn. We could have because it was a land. Casually pass our turn. There's only 2 more Ugins to go, and this deck is useless. Yeah, go ahead, bro. Use that mana. Back to the Crawling Barrens game plan. Nice. I can respect that. You gotta win somehow, right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's with love. It's with love. Yeah, we could double Heartless as well on one of them. Take the draw. Sink our mana. Our turn. Land in play. Tome in play. Pass turn. Do nothing on your own turn. Right? Only Yorion, and that's only once a game. It's the only thing you do on your own turn. Crawling Barrens. Not again. We should have double Heartless Act to the other one, maybe. We can bring our own Barrens in to block it. Yep. Sorry, bro. Both Barrens have been dealt with now. 2 out of 4 Ugins have been dealt with. Sadly, we've got to leave that. There's not much we're doing there. Spends their mana for a draw. Draw might be better than a scry at this point. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. We have 45 cards still. Pass our turn. Just chillin'. You know, I probably would have scooped. They're just harding on an Ugin, right? Where is my Ugin? We can exile that with our event. The pleasures of control, right? They're good times. It's fun. Just digging for more counter spells. Playing this Clink to Dust as many times as we can. Over and over. Hashtag card advantage. Sad. But it's worth it.
I will haunt your
No more graveyard. Oh, I almost cast that. We, like, literally don't even need to cast that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just sink our mana into the Barrens. Things are fine. We are comfortable. Hit even. We'll have 8, so 4 goes here. It is the 5th, so it attacks, which leaves us only 3. Which is fine. Let's grab an island here. Okay. They're not into it. They're not into it all of a sudden. You think they're going to play these other matches? Alright. Negate. That's definitely coming in. The Essence Scatter can go. Not many creatures that we need to worry about, in my opinion. Shark Typhoon's pretty cool against Ugin. Clink to Dust also had massive benefits for us there. I think Bloodchief's Thirst can go. Well, it is Ugin removal. I think this all worked very nice. They could play Ugin, I'll play Sharks. Ugh. Try to stay high energy. Grab some water here. In a dream world, they closed their client. They're absolutely done with this game. You know, not with the game, but just with this match. You know, they had to go take a break. That would be fine with me. Free wins when you're this high in Mythic are always appreciated, you know. I'm not a proud man. I'll show you guys how we get there. I show the losses. I'll show the wins. I'll show the scoops, the free wins. Those are the best ones as far as I'm concerned. And this is actually possibly could be one of the benefits to playing best of 3, you guys, is because if there is a really aggressive match like that off the start, your opponent runs out of time, they're like, oh man, like that was horrible, I've got things to do, I can't do that again. They just leave. Now you just got a second win for free. It's like a 2-for-1 special. So, you know, if you're playing best of 1, you're having fun with it, you're hitting diamond, and you're just maybe a little frustrated with some of the breaks that happen, the RNG gods or whatever, the BO3 is a great way to get around it, and they're actually here. They're ready to do it, so that's cool. Keeping 7, we've got a Tome. That's cool. Well, I say they're here. Maybe they're not. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. They're thinking about it, that's for sure. Oh, hello, Mr. Bear! I love the bear. I wasn't super fond of these elemental Zendikar situations. Like, the initial Hydron was kind of cool, I feel like, but the actual Mastery Pass creatures were not that great. And I'm sensing a free win. Oh! It's like they're listening. They're like, no, we're not giving them a free win. We're gonna make them work for it. Do you think they're playing aggro now, or they're still playing their shenanigans? The event sucks. We need to get Tome in play right away and just find counterspells. Negate, negate, negate. They're scrying. That's okay. Looking for simulacrons, I guess, probably. Oh, nice. They're not ready to cast it yet, though. So we can Tome, and then we can Triumph with the counterspell open. And we're just looking for more, looking for more. We can take our Scry here as well. Eliminate does, oddly enough, work. Maybe they are going creature heavy. The, opponent. Can we see their deck from the first round? This costs 4 only. That could be next turn. But then they only get 7 with it. They need to get 8 with it, so they're not casting it till the turn after. Right? Trial and play. We don't have to do it now anyway, so let's just pass. These stats are brought to you by Magic the Gathering Arena Assistant. Overwolf link in the description to download it for free. So a couple damage here. Fourth land in play. Another Tome, which is good. At least we have one early game here. They're drawing. We will scry. Omen is actually surprisingly good if we don't counter. Pass our turn. This is their 5 mana drop. Simulacrum I don't care about. It is annoying. I think we just eliminate it. Give them the draw. Right, then we can keep the negate so we don't have to event. Oh, it's 3 or less. It's a 4 CMC. The plot thickens. Take a draw. That disruption would have been nice. We can also omen in. I mean, we can take some damage for a few turns, right? Worst case, we have a tap land. Looking for more counter spells. That's pretty good. Is it enough, right? Let's pass our turn. Like I said, we can take a few damage. It's not the worst. There are far worse things, right? You know, 2 lands and then we can Ashiok and still protect it. Kind of like we did last game. Yeah, the 2/2 mana always throws me. I look at it and I'm like, oh, that has to be a 3 CMC. Right? We're held up on their tomes. Or my internet. One or the other. It looks like it's their timer. Right? I'm pretty sure. These 2 negates are super friendly against this match. And again, we'll get that removal. That's fine. Oh, timeout used. We are on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. Tick tock, tick tock. Oh, here we are. We're back. Scrying 1. To the top. Nice. Good for them. Their turn. Yeah, that's fine. And there's the negate. So we got rid of 2 spells with 1 negate. Right? That's why you counter the second spell, not the first. Try. We still have a lot of work to do. Draw a card. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be greedy and hold on to this disruption. I know that's bad manners. No Ashiok this turn. We're holding on. We could have exiled, but let's see what else this next turn brings, right? Again, it's only 2 damage. We're at 20. It's not that big of a deal. Eventually, we will outvalue these tomes. You know, they do a really good job. I would like to stack more stuff to bounce with Yorion, if I can. Alright, hit for 2. Perfect, that's why we waited it out, right? Because now we can 2 for 1. If only it was instant. Man, that would be cool. Barrens finally, that's really nice. Taking evens. Okay, this is looking a lot better for us now. Starting to feel comfortable again. Remembering that we're not a control deck, or no, we are a control deck. We're not an aggro deck, and we're not a mid-range deck. Just play it as slow as you possibly can. Nice. Let's stop. Kill it. Right, that way they don't get the draw. That is a good sideboard, though, against us. I like that. They are showing signs of life. Ashiok in play. We have protection.
Close your eyes.
+2.
Dream of me.
Not worried about the Soul Seer. Whatever. Again, we know what we need to counter in the deck. We've got multiple Ashioks. That's fine. There's only so many negates. Even though there's, you know, 4 of each, but it feels like there's way more Ashiok than there is negate. Like, the negate is so much more important. And we've only got 1 Ugin so far, so there's 3 more to go. It could be a Shattered... Not Shattered Skies. Well, it could be Shattered Sky, too, but... yeah, no, it is a Shattered Skull Smashing. That's the one I'm thinking of. That does use all of their mana for this turn. This could come back to get us. We'll see, though. Right, we still have 1 more, and we have a Disruption. So I think we are safe to use it. You know, I talked about protecting it and then immediately did the opposite. So we'll see. That's how these things go. Woo! That was a 40-minute best of 3 match of Magic, and we climbed a little bit, 186. So, you know, using a control deck doesn't always yield super quick results, but it does generally yield quite effective results. As you can see, there wasn't really any time within that matchup that we were super scared, a little awkward for a bit, but, you know, it gets to a point where you get to that turn 5, turn 6, and it's like now you can play a 4 or a 5 drop and protect yourself. So it really does, you know, come alive when you get to, you know, turn 5 plus, and turn 7 plus, you are absolutely ready to dominate due to all of the value engines that you have in the deck. And we didn't even use our castle there once, and, you know, plenty of life to use it. So really almost never running out of tools. So a good showing, and unfortunately that is the time we have today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to do a quick outro here and talk about you know, some general things with the channel. So we'll catch you in 1 second. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel to all of your friends. Bug every single person you see using an Android phone to download Arena and start playing Magic. Send them my way as well. Don't forget about our 500,000 gem giveaway, free cash prize monthly tournaments, Brawl, and Artisan that are, you know, pretty cool. Get in on them, right? They're good for beginners to help grow your collection. We also have 100 one-on-one sessions with me that are up for grabs. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, join the Discord to learn more about all of that jazz. Get into the details if you want. Thank you guys so much for your support. You know, it's absolutely amazing. Really appreciate you. If you want to go above and beyond to support financially, you can do so on Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, and our Amazon link, of course. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.
Nice.